Okay, just check on my phone. Hi everyone, thanks for joining. If you're watching right now, just give me a couple of moments while I get you live on my phone and I can just check that everything's looking okay. Here we go. Excellent. So before I start, I just wanted to say thanks for joining. This video will be available in the long term. I'll leave it on my channel, so you don't have to watch it live if you've got other things you need to do. So the video is about a story about how I got into aquascaping and how I made that step from a hobbyist to a professional where I'm at right now. And I'll take you through the whole sort of past, present, and a little bit of future as well. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If this is your first time watching me and my channel, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you hit the notification bell, you'll also get an automatic notification every time I upload a new video. So I've got a few notes here. I've got a few props as well to help with my storytelling, hopefully to keep it fresh. I have just invested in some new lighting and a microphone, so hopefully the audio visual will be improved also. So where do I start? Well, I didn't keep my first aquarium till about 2002, and I've always had a kind of interest in aquariums. I remember seeing them as a kid. I remember seeing them we had one in our school, and I was always really fascinated by it. I think we had neon tetras, and it's probably no coincidence that they remain one of my favourite fish today, actually. But we never kept a tank. My family never kept them, apart from my granddad. He kept them, and he passed it on to his uncle. And I remember overfeeding the fish. I think I put the whole pot in. I think I was about 4 years old, and I killed all the fish. So didn't have the greatest of starts to the hobby. But moving on to 2002, I think I was 20. Must have been quick maths, late 20s. So yeah, quite a late starter to the hobby, and I bought a Joule Rio 125. So some of you may have heard of the Joule range of aquariums, all inclusive. You get the filter, the lighting, the heater, everything you need to set up your first tropical freshwater aquarium. So that's what I bought, Joule Rio 125, 125 litres, and always been a big fan of nature, love being outdoors, love forests, that sort of thing. So I thought it would make sense to do a planted aquarium. So I bought a load of plants from a local garden centre, and believing obviously they were aquarium plants, they were labelled as aquarium plants. Paid what I thought was quite a lot of money back then. It was about £50 or £60 on about a dozen or so pots of what they look like, beautiful aquarium plants. Put them in the tank, bought some fake wood, did a very rudimentary aquascaping. Never heard of aquascaping, never heard of the term, never seen any aquascapes, so just did what I thought looked okay. And needless to say, it failed abysmally. I later found out that all the plants I bought were non-aquatic, so basically house plants or plants that are designed to be grown marginal plants. And yeah, they all died. They all got covered in algae, and the tank looked a mess. But I wasn't one to give up. I'm a bit of a, I like to persevere. I really wanted to have a pretty fish tank. So I did some research, and one of the first books I bought actually was in my local shop at the time, the Water Zoo in Peterborough. A really good shop if you ever get the chance to visit it. It was actually more of a catalogue, more of a marketing book for Denelay, and they had these, it was called, I think, a system for a fascinating aquarium, or system for a beautiful aquarium, how to succeed with aquarium plants. And so then I discovered CO2 injection, I discovered the use of substrates, liquid fertilizers, lighting, and all these kind of key elements that are required to achieve success with the planted tank. So I thought, well, I'm not doing anything right. Everything in my tank is wrong. So I invested in a CO2 kit. I started buying fertilizers. I bought a decent substrate. I bought decent plants. Back then I used mail order, I think, because my local shops didn't stock anything anywhere near decent. And I learned how to grow plants, very basic plants, and I kind of grew easy plants, and the tank looked much better. I wasn't getting much algae, and I was really happy. And then I started really enjoying myself and started really enjoying the hobby. So I subscribed to Practical Fish Keeping magazine. And then I discovered the work of Takashi Amano. And I remember very well to this day that I was given it as a Christmas present. And I opened the book and I was just blown away. I just saw these beautiful aquascapes that I'd never seen anything like it ever. These nature aquariums. And I just thought, that is the direction I want to take my hobby. And it really, if there's any one moment in my whole kind of life as an aquascaper, that was the kind of epiphany, if you like. That was the moment that really kind of changed my direction. And so I relentlessly pursued this desire to create a beautiful nature aquarium. And I realised the techniques that I was using back then, I wasn't able to grow some of the plants that Amano was growing. He was growing like carpets of glossostigma, doing iwagumi layouts and things like this, and these were really, even back then, we're talking 2004 now, so what's that, 14 years ago. In the UK, carpets of glosso back then, even CO2 kits were really rare. You wouldn't really see any shops stocking them, and it was such a super niche part of the hobby. But I was determined to kind of, to achieve what I wanted to achieve. So, I was ringing up shops, getting them to order me CO2 kits. I was asking hobbyists around Europe to send me like little cuttings of glossostigma. And long story short, I created my first decent aquascape, I'd say, in 2004, 2005. And that was called Mother Microsorum. And if you type in Mother Microsorum on Google, you will probably see on Google Images the aquascape, and it was basically a huge Java fern with a carpet of glosso, some Sagittaria and some Anubias, and it was my first aquascape, and I was so proud of it. It looked great. It had a really tight carpet of glosso, really nice fern, and Java ferns to this day, those that know me, some of my best friends will know that I'm just known as like the guy that loves Java fern, and you can see right here there's a beautiful specimen right there. So I was really chuffed with this, and I was becoming really active on the internet forums. Back then, a couple of American forums that are still going, I think, to this day, plantedtank.net and Aquatic Plant Central. I was quite active on there. And in the UK, we had fishforums.net. I think that's still going. The name of it was Tropical Fish Forums, but their website was fishforums.net, and I was super active on there to the point where I think in 2004, 2005, at the same time I was achieving success with my aquascaping, they invited me to be a moderator on this forum, and I was just literally glued to the forums. I was a sponge, but I was also a huge kind of advocate and almost like a teacher, and I was just sharing my knowledge with all the other hobbyists and learning what I could from the more experienced hobbyists like Tom Barr, the guy Art with Penon, the Art who created Scapefu, Jeff Senske, all these really well-known guys that are still active in the hobby right now. I was both, a huge subject, just wanting to get as much information as I could on aquascaping, but also share my newfound knowledge with as many people as I could as well. And like I said, I subscribed to PFK. This is the latest issue, by the way. If you do want to get it, it's a really good magazine. I've got 3 articles in here right now, but I'm going to talk about PFK in much more detail in a bit. So I was reading PFK, and there was a couple of Planet Aquarium contributors, and they were fine, and they were writing their articles, but some of the information that they were saying in their articles was actually untrue. It was misleading. They were saying, they're coming out with statements like nitrates and phosphates cause algae, you need to limit circulation levels, limit flow, use phosphate removal media, make sure you have really super soft water, use an RO unit or rainwater. And these were all contrary to the kind of techniques that I was learning about and actually using with success. So it got to the point where I was reading these articles over and over, and I was thinking, this isn't right. The readers of this magazine are actually getting fed incorrect information, and it's actually limiting the growth of aquascaping in the UK. And I thought, this isn't right. So I'm going to write into PFK. I'm going to send them a photo of my mother microsorum. So I sent that in, and then it was literally old school as well. It wasn't even an email. It was actually a proper photo sent in an envelope with a covering letter to the editor of PFK, which back then I think was Karen Youngs, and I think staff writer was Jeremy Gay, who's a very close friend of mine as we speak. And they emailed me back and they said, George, we love your tank. Can we come and visit it? Can we come and do a reader visit? I was gutted because there's nothing more, and I love for someone to enjoy my tank and take photos of it and stuff. And for it to be featured in a magazine would have been back then like the best thing ever. Unfortunately, I was in the Royal Air Force at the time, and I was about to go on deployment to the Falkland Islands. So I stripped the tank down, and so the tank was empty. So there's nothing for them to see. But I did say, I was still keen to kind of contribute to the magazine. So I said to them, guys, I know quite a lot about this new kind of method of keeping plants, using nitrates, phosphates dosing, the estimative index, lots of circulation, big water changes, and making the hobby actually relatively easy to grow much more demanding plants. And they were interested, and so next thing I know, I'm actually writing for Practical Fish Keeping, and and I have written pretty much an article or more than one ever since then. So that's 2006 now. So that's 12 years ago. I've had articles in Practical Fish Keeping, and that really catapulted my kind of recognition, my credibility in the industry, not only as a hobbyist, but also as a professional. So although I was still very much full-time in the Royal Air Force, and I was in the Royal Air Force for 14 years altogether, I took my hobby to that next step, if you like, of professionalism, was writing for Practical Fish Keeping. So that was really, really cool, and it really kind of gave me the motivation to learn as much as I could to figure out the latest trends, to create as many aquascapes as I could, because when you write for Practical Fish Keeping and you have your articles published every month, companies are very happy to give you stuff, basically. And that really helped my hobby, because I couldn't, I was married, I had children and a house and everything, and I couldn't afford to aquascape. Aquascaping isn't necessarily a cheap hobby, and I couldn't afford to re-aquascape a tank every couple of months, buy all new plants, all new equipment. But luckily, these companies were happy to provide the plants. I had a very close relationship with Tropica and got all my plants for free from them, as long as I kind of talked about it in PFK. And lighting and filtration, and all these other companies, JBL, Denelay, TMC, the list goes on. All these companies happy to donate equipment because they get exposure in Practical Fish Keeping, a magazine, and they kind of trusted me to use it in a positive way, and the results hopefully spoke for themselves. So everyone was a winner. I was getting free stuff. I was creating nice aquascapes, and my kind of my recognition in the industry was becoming better. My kind of reputation was growing in the industry, and so that was kind of my first step, if you like, into like the professional world of aquascaping. Although I was, like I say, very much still full time in the Royal Air Force. And so that was great. So for a year or so, I was doing this with Practical Fish Keeping, and I was really enjoying myself, creating new aquascapes. And that, if there's one tip, if you can take away from this video, if you want to become a professional aquascaper, you need to be quite good at it. I'm not blowing my own trumpet. I'm by no means the best aquascaper in the world. I never place very highly in contests, but that's, I'm not about winning contests. I'm about promoting the hobby. But you need to be proficient at aquascaping, and the best way to do that is practice. So what I would recommend, if you want to take a career into aquascaping, then just practice aquascaping. It's simple as that. Set up as many tanks as you can at home, as many as you can afford, maybe do lots of nanos, and then just offer your services for free. Before I was writing for practical fish keeping, I was working for free basically. I was moderating 5 forums at one point. I was just giving as much of advice as I could to people. I was spending up 2 or 3 hours every evening on the internet, on the forums, working for free. Just grinding out. I was writing articles for free. I was becoming quite a skilled photographer, and I was uploading, high quality photos for free. And that you need to be prepared to work for free if you want to get your name out there. You can't suddenly approach a company or a client and say, I'm going to create a beautiful aquascape for you and I want X amount of money. They're going to go, well, who are you? What have you done? Where's your portfolio? Where's the evidence that you can aquascape? Show me something. Show me some stunning works of art that you've done. So, in order to achieve that level, you need to work for free. So, I think I'll get the message across there. So, I'm just going to refer to my notes. Okay, so 2006 started writing for PFK. 2007 was a really big year for me and a few other guys in the UK. So I've already mentioned Tom Barr. Tom Barr, if you don't know already, he is on Facebook, very, very prolific. He owns the Barr Report, which is a really good planted tank resource. And he is a legend in the hobby and the industry because he pretty much pioneered the concept of the estimative index. And that is a method of fertilisation, a method of adding liquid fertilisers or dry chemicals to your aquarium to ensure that the plants never go hungry. And then you do normally a 50% water change once a week to reset those nutrient levels to ensure they don't creep up, but also more importantly to dilute all those waste organics. And that helps prevent algae. It also helps to keep the plants really well fed, and you don't need to use test kits. So this estimative index was a really big thing for me. And I was one of the first guys in the UK to really promote it, to talk about it in Practical Fish Keeping magazine, to talk about it on the UK forums, and it became, more of a popular method of fertilising your tank, and it just enabled people to keep, relatively demanding plants without worrying about testing their water constantly, hitting these nutrient levels X, Y, Z, because as most of you probably know, test kits are notoriously unreliable anyway, especially hobby grade test kits. And plants are actually super adaptable to a variant of nutrient levels anyway. So I digress. So Tom Barr gave myself and it was Dan Crawford, Graham Edwards, a chap called Matt Holbrook Hull. We basically founded the UK Aquatic Plant Society with the help of Tom Barr, who let us create a sub-forum on the Barr Report. So shout out to Tom for that. The Barr Report, which is spelt the Barr, which is BARR report. So do check that out. And you never know, you might even see our old original kind of sub forum on there back in early 2007. So that went quite well on the Barr Report to the point where we can set up our own website now. So 2007, I think it was June, July, we officially formed UK Aquatic Plant Society. www.ukaps.org. We have a very active forum, so go on there, have a look. I think there's over 20,000 members now. We have about 20 sponsors, loads of experts on there, very happy to give their advice. And in this age of Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, forums have been dying down, but UCAPS remains, very strong on that platform. So do check it out. Very proud of UCAPS. We've got to the point where last year, in fact the year before last, we actually hosted our own consumer hobbyist show. We paid out of our own pocket. We hired out a huge venue in Daventry, and we did a hardscaping contest challenge. We had a photography seminar, aquascaping practical seminars, and a WebAccuser demonstration. We had people coming over from Germany, from Croatia, from the Ukraine, and it was just a really, really cool thing to do, and that was done because of UCAPS and You know, the sponsors, obviously, they pay for advertising on the forum, and that helped to fund it. And, you know, what am I saying about UCAPS and going turning professional is that UCAPS was another tool, you know, as another platform and another kind of weapon in my arsenal to show the world that, you know, I am a huge ambassador for aquascaping, and I have the capability of helping to organise big events. And, you know, I think I have over 7,000 posts on UCAPS, and again, that's working for free. You know, those 7,000 posts, gosh knows how many man hours of time and that's been put into them. A lot of them have high quality photos, and again, that's working for free. That's getting your name out there. That's showing the world that you've got credibility, and you're a subject matter expert in what you're doing. So UCAP's very, very big for me. I'm not very active on it anymore. You know, I've kind of handed the baton over to the moderators, and they're doing a great job. And I do have to give a shout out to Paolo Leal, who is the webmaster of UCAPS. A totally thankless task, and he spends a lot of time and effort, again, for free. So yeah, just a shout out to Paolo, mate, if you are watching. Thank you so much. So that's UCAPS, and that, you know, I'm still very proud of it. I still have a really kind of fond relationship with UCAPS and some of the guys on there. And hopefully this year we're going to be having another event, but I'm not going to promise too much. You just have to stay posted and watch my videos to find out more on that one. So UCAPS 2007, and then my hobby was just growing, you know, in terms of I was doing more aquascapes, I was writing more for practical fish keeping. I started to get kind of requests from retailers and from companies to do workshops. I was getting invited to European countries. I was been invited to America, you know, and I was getting paid to do this. I wasn't necessarily getting paid a lot of money to do the job, but my travel was paid for, my accommodation was paid for, and I was hosted brilliantly. And, you know, that was again another kind of step towards becoming a full-time professional. So that was really cool, you know, traveling to other countries. I love traveling, and I love experiencing new, you know, different cultures, different types of people that are into aquascaping, and, you know, it was just a really, really, really cool thing to do. So whilst all this was going on, I was still in the RAF, the Royal Air Force, and I was still doing PFK every month, being really active on UCAPS, doing some work for different companies, TMC, Hagen, Tropica, you know, the list goes on. I was doing product reviews. Wasn't very big on YouTube. If you do look through my YouTube channel, you'll see videos from way back, from I think 2006, 2007. My first ever nano tank. It was the first ever video uploaded. Please don't look at it too closely. It's shocking, the quality. But, you know, YouTube back then was another vehicle to get my work out there. You know, again, working for free, and it was just another kind of platform to showcase my work, although I'm obviously taking it a lot more seriously these days. So I'm just going to have a little drink of Pepsi while I check my notes again. So yes, 2008 now 2014, just relentlessly doing, like I say, PFK, UCAPS, visiting different places, doing a few workshops, not many, and just promoting the hobby as much as I could, whether that be, you know, I discovered obviously Facebook became quite big. I became very prolific on Facebook. A couple of years ago started Instagram, maybe 3 years ago Instagram. Twitter, although I don't use Twitter much these days, and on YouTube now obviously, and just using all the channels I could possibly use to promote aquascaping to a wider audience, and again doing it for free. You know, I don't get paid to go on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. You know, I'll get a little bit of revenue from YouTube, but, you know, my core mission, and it always will be, is to promote the art of aquascaping. And I think if any of you want to become a professional aquascaper, you need to have that core mission, whatever it is. And be prepared to put in a load of groundwork before you can take that full professional step. And I'll take you through what I did right now. So late 2012, I got deployed to Afghanistan, and it was actually a bomb disposal tour, and it wasn't a very nice experience. I was over there for 6 months with the army, and it wasn't great. And I was starting to think, oh, well, you know, maybe I can take aquascaping or work full time in the aquatic industry, you know, and I can kind of leave the Royal Air Force behind. So 2013, I did take the step, and I came out of the Royal Air Force, and my position in the aquatic industry was you know, good enough for me to just step out of the Royal Air Force into a full-time aquatic industry position down in London. And I did that for a while, and that was great. You know, it taught me about, you know, I was a hobbyist still, you know, and I still am a hobbyist, by the way, obviously. And as I was doing all the work previous, I was doing it more as a hobbyist. But now I was, an employee of an aquatic company, and so I learned a lot about the industry. I learned a lot about how companies work, how different management structures work, how, you know, the retail industry works. And that was a really important time for me, and it was a really great stepping stone for me to go from full-time RAF, aquarium hobbyists, semi-professional aquascaper, full-time aquatic job, and then the next step, which happened about a year later, I decided to go fully self-employed, as fully freelance, and basically a contractor. So that's where I am right now in my career. You know, I work for myself. I also work for Evolution Aqua. So some of you, if you've seen any of my videos recently, you know, I've been setting up a lot of aquascaper aquariums. These were designed in collaboration with myself and Evolution Aqua. These catalogues actually are available. If you do want one, give Aquarium Gardens a bell. They might be able to send you one. But these have got all the different tanks in there, different cabinets, liquid fertilizer, all the products that we do right now. So that's a big thing for me, is having my own aquarium cabinet, liquid fertilizer, more to come, you know, with my name attached to it, the Aquascaper. And that's, you know, that's a really cool thing. And what I will say is, for me personally, as a professional aquascaper, I can't rely on any one income stream. You know, let's not beat around the bush. As a self-employed person, you need to earn money, and you need to choose. You need to kind of think about where you're going to get that money from. You know, you can't necessarily just rely on one income stream. So, you know, I will use YouTube. I work with Evolution Aqua very closely. I will do paid videos for different companies. Workshops are a big one. Last autumn straight winter up to kind of December, for 3 months, almost every weekend I was doing a workshop. You know, I was in Europe for 10 days, you know, and that was obviously a big part of my you know, my income stream. And, you know, I'll do some work for Aquarium Gardens. You know, I maintain all of Aquarium Gardens display aquascapes. I also have an office there, and I help out the owner with various marketing, etc. Help out with customer service, and it's a really nice symbiotic relationship. You know, Aquarium Gardens is only 3 or 4 kilometres away from my house, and you know, the owner and I get on very well on a friendship level as well as a business level. So that works really well. So. What can I say? So I know some of you guys have wanted this video for a while. I do get a lot of requests, a lot of questions about how do I get into the world of aquascaping as a career. But that's my own journey, and it's by no means a journey that obviously anyone can, you know, particularly replicate. But I think the lessons that you could potentially learn from me is the big thing is working for free to start with, just grinding out as many aquascapes as you can. Collaborate as well. You know, I've collaborated with really big names. You know, most of you may have heard of the King of DIY, Joey Mullen. We did Escape Off down at Aqua Depot in London. in October. You know, that was a really big thing for me. I didn't particularly use it as a look at me, I'm with Joey Mullen. I used it more as a vehicle to promote aquascaping, and that was, you know, that's my core mission. You know, I always go back to that. What's your core mission, George? To promote aquascaping. That's why I'm talking to you guys right now. That's why I create the videos that I do for YouTube. You know, and some of the feedback I've been getting lately in particular has been really heartwarming, because some of you guys have been, you know, and it's so lovely to hear, actually really inspired by my work. You're starting to create your own aquascapes, your skills are developing, and if I'm any kind of part of that, any influence on that's all I need. You know, obviously I need income, but the big thing for me is actually to promote aquascaping, get more aquascapers out there, get more and more people enjoying, you know, the beautiful art of aquascaping. You know, it's beautiful. What better thing is there to sit and enjoy, you know, a beautiful planted aquarium? I'm just looking at this right now and I'm just like, what a beautiful thing. It's just, you know, there's no fish in there yet, so it's still beautiful. So how many times can you say that about a fish tank? It's a beautiful fish tank without fish. So I'm gonna kind of end it there. And the last thing I'll say, and it's not keep on scaping, because, you know, that is my catchphrase, and that's another thing. You know, come up with maybe a catchphrase. A bit of branding is really important. Just enjoy yourself, have fun. As soon as it stops becoming fun, then, you know, you're doing something wrong. You know, I have to have aquascapes at home, because if I didn't, I would lose that element of fun. I would lose my hobby. And for me, I personally I think that for me to be the best aquascaper, I need to be an aquascaper at home and a hobbyist as well, and enjoy it, and kind of become the other hobbyist. So I can think like the hobbyist, not just a professional that goes out and creates aquascapes for other people. You know, I need to create them for myself and enjoy them myself, and then share them with you guys, and then hopefully everyone is a winner. So that kind of wraps it up in terms of the journey. I'll jump on my iPhone in a minute, and I can look through some comments. I probably can't answer all the questions right now. You know, it is Sunday evening. I do have a beautiful fiance, and we do want to have an evening, you know, to ourselves as well. So I'll leave it there. I'll check out some of the more pertinent questions that you guys might have, and then I'll sign off. All right, where's live? There we are. All right, let me just see if I can see the comments. Wow, 173 of you watching right now. Hello everyone. That's pretty intense. Okay, ZZAJB says, what plant is in the middle of your tank behind you? This one is Microsorum petite. It's a kind of smaller version of the regular Java fern. Do you have discus or angels? Not at the moment. Okay, Andreas Vlakhakis, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Hey George, what's your main source of income from aquascaping, if you don't mind me asking? It is my contract work I have with Evolution Aqua. So I do a lot of their social media, and we talk about developing the Aquascaper brand, and yeah, that's kind of a big proportion. Rickard Rocks, I think I could be a pro aquascaper. It's just so expensive, working half-time job. Anyway, did my first real aquascape, blah, 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 but it turned out better. Excellent, mate, well done. Okay, guys, if you've got any questions, there's a lot of kind of chatter, which is great, and I do appreciate any feedback. But this video is more to do with, you know, if you want to become a professional aquascaper, or if you want to ask me any questions about that, then that's cool. Yeah, okay, let's just have a talk about working for free again. So a lot of people kind of moan, whinge about there's no aquascaping in my area, none of the shops do aquascaping, there's no other hobbyists to talk to. Well, that was where I was, kind of 15 years ago, and I took it upon myself to kind of take the bull by the horns, to take a leadership role and promote aquascaping as well as I could. Go to my local shop and say, do you want me to set up an aquascape for you? Offer them a workshop for free. They'll provide the plants, all the materials. They can invite some customers along, or you could even do it during the day when it's not so busy. But just try to take the lead a bit and get aquascaping out there in your local area. Showing photos of your work at home. If you've got a nice aquascape at home, take a photo into the shop, say, look, this is what I've done. Would you like me to do something similar in your shop? Time and again, the evidence is there that if a shop has a decent display aquascape, they'll sell loads more plants. They'll sell more CO2, soil, lighting, everything to do with planted tanks. That shop will sell loads and loads more products to do with aquascaping. So it's in their interest to get you on board and do something for them. Michael Aarons, how you doing, mate? Just managed to catch the stream. What time is it anyway? Okay, not many top tips. I did a video on that. Check out my previous videos. Okay, questions about algae. What's the aeration near the intake? Oh, this is the Twin Star. Let's put it on for you. I'll do an update on this tank soon, guys, so I won't give you many close-ups or anything. So this is basically generating micro bubbles, pure oxygen, and that helps to keep oxygen levels high, which means we can dose a little bit more CO2 without any danger to the livestock. Basically helps to prevent algae. Okay, yeah, if you do want a Keep On Scaping t-shirt, if you look in the description below, there is a link. I think it's the last sentence of the description. Keep On Scaping t-shirts now available, so you can buy them from Moss Cotton. Some of you commented on my Eat, Sleep, Scape, Repeat t-shirt, which I put on my community tab yesterday. That is available from Green Aqua. So if you look up Green Aqua, which is a Hungarian aquascaping shop, I think it's greenaqua.com or greenaqua.hu. Check out their shop and you'll see a variety of kind of aquascaping merchandise t-shirts on there. Stephen, what substrate would you recommend that won't leach ammonia? You've got Tropica plant soil, Denalayscaper soil, JBL ProScape soil. A little risk of ammonia, but nowhere near as much as ADA Aquasoil Amazonia. Yeah, guys, I mean, I am self-employed, so if you do want a personal question answering, and I can guarantee giving you an answer, if you leave a super chat, that's cool. I'm not into asking for money, but if you do want that personal service, then the super chat option is available, so do bear that in mind. I'm just going to stay online now for another 5 minutes or so, so if you do want anything like that, then now is your opportunity to ask. George Liston, hi George, how you doing, mate? I'm only 16, will my local trust me? Well, that's up to you, mate. Go in there, be confident, ask to speak to the manager, have some material with you to show that you know what you're doing, to show you've got credibility. Go up to them with a photograph, or if you've got something on your phone, or anything like that, show them and say, I'll be really interested in helping you guys out with an aquascape. I offer my services for free. All I ask for is the equipment and the time to do it. You know, you could do it after hours maybe. That you don't have to do it while there's customers in there, and they've got nothing to lose really. They might, you know, it might cost them a little bit in the aquarium and the plants, etc. But it's a shop, so they're getting them all at trade, and you know, and the risk is small, but the potential gains are massive. You know, if they have a nice aquascape, then they can sell loads more stuff off that aquascape. If you go onto the UCAPS forum, if you type in on the search how to set up a display aquarium for a shop, I think, or words to that effect, there's a thread that I created a good few years ago now about how to do that, how to approach a shop, what techniques to use. And I'd encourage any budding aquascapers out there that if you've got good aquascaping skills, you know, then show them off. Go to your shop, approach your local aquarium club and say, look, I'll do a talk for you for free. I'm going to set up an aquascape, you know, and just get yourselves known. Snow, any tips for a planted discus tank? Yeah, go for slow growing plants. Go for the minimum temperature that you can go for without doing any harm to the discus, because the warmer the temperature, everything works quicker. More waste produced, more risk of algae. They need more food. More food equals more waste equals more algae. Plants grow quicker. The quicker a plant grows with warmer temperatures, plants grow quicker. Quicker a plant grows, more waste is produced. So, you know, if you can lower the... I had a planted discus tank. If you look on my channel, my introduction video, welcome to my YouTube channel video, there's a planted discus tank on there. If you just search for George Farmer planted discus tank on YouTube, you'll find it anyway. That was nice. That was the family's favourite aquascape that I've ever done. And Emma, my fiance, keeps asking when we're going to have discus again. So yeah, watch your space. A little kind of sneak preview. Potentially, I'm going to be replacing this with an aquascape of 1500. So that is an ideal opportunity for discus. Oh, Tizzy, could you scape a fancy goldfish tank? Might make a good challenge. Yes, I could. I have done it already. There isn't much aquascapes that I haven't done. If you go on Google and just type in George Farmer goldfish aquascape, you'll see what I've done. Bogdan, Isaac, what regulator do you counsel me to buy using a fire extinguisher? Any regulator with a DIN fitting is fine. If you go on Aquarium Gardens, they've got a good selection of CO2 regulators. Maurice, is it better to aquascape one big tank or more smaller tanks for professional but also home? It's a really good point. I would always, if you want to get into becoming a professional, practice makes perfect. So the more tanks you can do, the better. But it is important to have the skill to do a big tank. So maybe one big tank, maybe one small tank. Use the big tank as a long-term display, and then maybe use the small tank to turn over lots of displays all the time to hone your skills, practice your hardscape, practice growing different plants. What kind of rock do you recommend for aquascaping that's not maybe known in the hobby? You could just go to a garden centre. A lot of them carry rocks. Just make sure they're not like super limestone based. Demo, what causes green spot algae? Normally lack of phosphate. That's a general answer. Okay, loads of questions coming through, guys. I'm going to sign off there because what I'll do, guys, because you've asked so many questions, like almost a Q&A to do with the technicalities of growing an aquascape and planted tanks. I'll do a separate live stream soon, and I'll let you know on the community tab when that will be. So I'll just sign off now. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing if you're a subscriber. I want to, I've really kind of got my motivation for YouTube. Really focused on creating really good content for you guys. And for you to give me so much great feedback is really important for that process. So thank you so much. So I'm going to say cheerio. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've really enjoyed making it for you guys. And keep on scaping. Take care. Cheerio.